Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of 𝗏𝗏𝗱𝗏, Deceitful Dream. And we are with Fwoot and Hadzy.
Hello.
Hello.
Awesome. And Fwoot's going to start us off.
So we start off on a very ethereal setting. Lauren's eyes are closed, and this place is somewhere that we haven't really seen before. It looks like a forest. There's a lot of turquoise and blues and greens, and overall it just feels very magical. Lauren opens her eyes and she looks up, and there's a lot of sort of sunlight on her and particles, like magical particles around. And we hear someone say Ren, implying Lauren, and it's a nickname for her. And then Lauren notices this, and the person says her nickname again, Ren. And then Lauren notices a boy, and he's smiling as he stands in front of her, and he says, "You're so slow, come on." And Lauren says something that we can't really make out as she looks up to him. And suddenly she's smiling and she says, "There you are." And she's running towards him. And then in the next panel, it's a younger version of her. And she's saying, "Why were you hiding? So where is it?" And the boy says, "I don't know." And keep in mind, we can't really see the boy's face super clearly. We can see his nose, his mouth sometimes, but we don't get to see his eyes. And when he says, "I don't know," it's a lie. And then he says, "It's not with me." And he has his hands up in the air as if, "I'm innocent." And Lauren knows he's lying. And so she says, "Liar, I know you have it." And she starts chasing him, and the boy starts running, and he says, "Well, if you want it, you'll have to catch me first. That is, if you can." And Lauren is laughing, he's laughing. But then the scene fades to black as Lauren reaches out for his hand, and we get this close-up panel of their hands almost touching before Lauren is woken up. So, thoughts on that?
This is such a sad moment. And, you know, a lot of times dreams, like often when people have childhood dreams, if they've had good childhoods, their dreams will always be much more pleasant than their reality. And this dream reflects it. Like you said, the setting is nothing we've seen before. So what we see of daily life in our college is usually pretty somber in terms of coloring and setting. It's a lot of buildings, it's a city. And we don't see Lauren relaxing or enjoying herself, or, you know, being outdoors in nature, just having a good time. That's not her reality right now. That's not her life. And part of it is being an adult, and part of it is her grief and the situation that she places herself in. She's not the kind of person who, even though she could sit and relax and probably sit on a beach in the Bahamas, she doesn't. So for us to be drawn back into her childhood is seeing a part of her that we never saw before, in a different life for her, and a different, I think, you know, level of happiness.
Mm-hmm. I think the scene is also a metaphor for Lauren chasing what is supposedly gone. Because, and just like her not really being able to catch that person, because the child kind of represents, well, her being depicted as a child and the boy being a child symbolizes their childhood, their shared childhood, and their friendship that they had in that childhood. And Lauren is chasing after the boy in this scene, and if you just put it after you put that on paper, she is essentially chasing after what is gone.
Mm-hmm. Chasing after
this. Mm-hmm. And like you said, this is a fantasy. This location probably doesn't actually exist. And also, I think the Lauren asking questions, so where is it? We don't know what she's actually supposed to be talking about, like what is it? But I think it's safe to assume that Lauren is looking for happiness. So where is my happiness? And the boy says, I don't know, it's not with me. And that is a lie.
That is so poignant and probably true. Oh my gosh, I didn't think of it that way. Wow. Oh, that hits hard. Poor Lauren. Yeah, she can't find happiness until she's, reached closure with what happened or maybe didn't happen to Dylan. Oh, that's so sad.
To me, this scene is really just like, it's like a mixture of nostalgia, and because this is like one of the panels that we genuinely see Lauren being happy. It's in her dream, she's happy, she's smiling, she even goes back to her younger self, and it's kind of sad seeing her then waking up from her dream. And the title of the episode is literally Deceitful Dream, which is pretty sad considering the context.
Yeah, she is left lying there in the bed just, well, I don't know, Fwoot, if you want to describe like what happens and how she reacts afterwards, but it's so sad.
Sure, I can do that. But I'm wondering, is there anything else? Oh yeah, okay. So Lauren is chasing after, in quotations, her happiness. She's chasing after the boy, who symbolizes that happiness, because that's what she thinks will bring her happiness, is finding this boy again. But I can't really see that happening again. I don't think, even if this kid is alive, I don't think that him coming back into her life will bring her happiness. It's only at this point in the story, Lauren believes he will. And that is why she is trying to take down the Phantom Scythe, partly because, for the good of the city, but also as revenge, because she thinks that she will get closure with herself if she can defeat the Phantom Scythe, and that maybe after that she will be happy.
I don't even know if she's consciously recognizing that she's seeking happiness. I do think that you're right, that she is seeking happiness. At least she's seeking, avoiding the ending of the pain she's in now, I don't know if she recognizes that consciously though, but it's something it's kind of like a fatal delusion that adults have. And I'm going to sound so like caustic about life. But I don't believe that for people have had a happy childhood, stress-free, non-abusive, whatever, nice, loving childhood. Generally, their childhood days are happier than their adulthood days because adults have a lot of stress to deal with. And, we go up and down a lot more. We have years/moments of intense, negative feelings of various sorts. So, and it's a common trope, that people wish they could go back to the innocence and the carefreeness of their childhood, because there's a lot of it is that the lack of intellectual development and the lack of responsibilities that, simplicity breeds, more happiness. But so there is kind of a delusion of adulthood that, if Lauren hasn't realized it yet, that her adult life is never going to be as happy as her childhood life, with closure or without closure, with knowing what happened to Dylan, with Phantom Scythe or without Phantom Scythe. It's never going to go back to that in any case. So yeah, I wonder if Lauren will ever realize that.
To me, I always view Lauren as a character who is quite literally stuck in the past. She can't let go of things, because otherwise it wouldn't be so extreme. She wouldn't be part of, she wouldn't agree to have a deal with Kieran. She probably wouldn't make that board in her room. And it's like she can't let go. Yeah, literally, she can't let go of the past. And in a sense, that's her weakness, because that's what we see in episode 22 and 23. She sees a picture that reminds her of something in her past, and that basically triggers her to do actions that put both Kieran and Lauren at risk.
Yeah. What you know, dreams are an amazing, and they've always been this way, like throughout time perennial, humans have always attached a lot of importance to dreams. They've gone to seers to interpret their visions, you know, in every like culture across the world and every time period. And the story now is making great use of the dream as, like you said, it's a symbolism, as showing, you know, her inner desires. And it's just a beautiful mechanism for portraying something that may be unconscious in a human being. And I just love how it's done here. Yeah, do we have anything else to say about the dream, or do you want to go on to her reaction when she wakes up, which is so sad?
I think, again, like her reaching for the child, reaching for her happiness, but just barely missing it and not being able to grab it is ironic. And yeah. That's what wakes her up from it, the inability to reach that happiness. So we get this amazing transition from child Lauren reaching out for the boy to her hand falling down. And we see that she's in her room, reaching up towards the ceiling. And she looks shocked. Her eyes are wide as she just stares upwards. And she's looking at her hand. And she narrates, "I hated happy dreams." Her hand closes to a fist. And she closes her eyes in what seems to be frustration, because they always reminded me of something I couldn't feel anymore. And she brings her hand to her forehead to cover her eyes. We get the title card.
So sad. You know, normally, like, Lauren is such a self-sufficient person, and so she's like such a bulldozer and a bulldog, and how, you know, how strong she is and how she goes forward, that we normally don't feel pity for her. You know, she's not the self-pitying kind of person. She doesn't put herself out as a victim. She's very strong. She's very like just determined. She goes ahead and she doesn't, I would say she doesn't look at the past, but that's not true. But this moment just makes us feel so bad for Lauren. Really, like,
it's like in the dream, she's deluding herself to a happy ending, and when she wakes up, she's reminded of reality, which is really sad, because I personally want all characters to be happy. Happiness is one of the most, in my opinion, happiness is one of the most important things in life. But what Lauren is doing is that her dream is like an escape from reality. She's literally, in a sense, taken back to time. She turns into a child, and when she wakes up, she knows that it was a dream. She knows that she's deluding herself into this happy world where everything might have been normal, and it's sad.
Poor Lauren. You want to go to the next part, Hadzy?
Yes. So after Fwoot's part, we are taken to the snowy streets of Artemis. We don't know exactly where, but the Lauren's team is on patrol. It has been 3 days since whatever happened in episode 23, and Kieran has yet not reached out to Lauren, nor Lauren went back to the cave. The patrol team, particularly Lauren, is walking past this big crowd of people, and there is actually one prominent figure that we actually don't know who yet, but he's the only, whoever it is the only clear figure in the crowd that we know.
And every single person at this point was like, "Is that Dylan?" Because he has, you know, white hair. It looks, you know, his outfit is similar. He looks kind of young here, by the way, to be Dylan. But
I'm just saying, this episode starts off with Lauren chasing the child. So what if it ends with the child chasing Lauren?
That's kind of scary.
It also kind of points out that, you know, regardless of who this person actually is, when you're looking for something, you tend to see it. That's actually, it's one of the common heuristics. But you know, I'm sure there, like every 5 seconds, there's somebody that reminds her of Dylan, because it's on her mind all the time. Like we know with the newsboy, he reminded her of Dylan, and she probably sees him a lot, or thinks he's
and it's also another way to deceive yourself, to delude yourself that whoever this person is looks like whoever it was in the dream, and therefore you think, oh, it's the same person, when it might actually not be that person. And Lauren isn't surprised that Kieran isn't reaching out to her, because they were nearly caught by the police in episode 23. She confirms that Anslo heard her voice and saw part of Lauren's face. But it actually is revealed that Anslo didn't actually remember. And it transitions to a scene at night with, I think, a detective or officer talking to Herman, saying that Anslo appears to have taken several blows to the head. He had multiple blackouts and has experienced mild memory loss. He doesn't remember how he ended up in that room or what happened before he lost consciousness the second time. And he says that Anslo only remembers being interrogated by a man. And
very fortunate for her, by the way.
Yes, because it would have, if Anslo had remembered, it would have been, in a sense, crucial, because it gives a whole new perspective for the police to find people. And she says, I'll just continue on my own, like always. It's probably better this way. And I've risked my neck with this assassin for long enough. But she said, I still need to find a way to get to Anslo, because she needs to ask him about that picture that triggered her in episode 23. Because Anslo could only answer her questions. We go down. There is a panel of Lucas saying, winter's sure like hitting like a truck this year. He's shivering.
He's like, usually he's stoic and complains. You wouldn't expect him to complain about this kind of stuff. Like, he doesn't strike us as, at least he doesn't strike me as that kind of person.
Yeah, and we go down. There is a panel again. This time we still saw the man from earlier that is prominent in the crowd. We can see that he took out something in this one panel with Harvey, Lucas, and Lauren. And then we see that Lauren notices somebody, and there is a big footstep called clack, and a woman with brown hair bursts out of a alleyway.
Before we continue, can we pay more attention? So what the guy took out, do you see what it is?
It's kind of hard to see from the angle that's in, but it's like, yeah, it's a camera. It's like one of those vintage looking cameras.
And then the next panel has, it's kind of like you see the flash. I didn't notice it the first time, by the way, but Lauren kind of turns, and then she's distracted by this person. So now I'm wondering, I'm like, do you think she was? Nah, probably not. Yeah, I don't think it's connected. I guess it's circumstantial.
When I first saw this panel, I was kind of thinking it was like she's like how do you describe it? It's like she suddenly focuses on one object, and I thought that it was the woman, but yeah, it could be taken as a camera flash.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, that's what I think now, at least. Should I take over from here?
Sure.
Okay, so we now see Will and Lauren looking at this woman who was running away, and now we focus in on her eyes. She has the mask covering her face, and she's like, shit. And there's just this funny panel of the entire police patrol force just looking at her. And, then this is kind of an aerial view of all of them with her. So it's meant to be comedic. And, she obviously feels trapped. She pulls out a dagger, and they pull out their guns. And now she starts sweating because it's like, you know, 1 dagger, 3 guns, not gonna help her. And she starts running away. Will says, Officer Sinclair and I will pursue. Sergeant Liddell, the patrol is in your charge. We'll catch up with you as soon as we're done with her. And they run after her. And meanwhile, the guy is still there. He still has the camera in his hands, and we just have this last like focus on him. So yeah, the authors definitely want us to notice him in case we didn't notice. Now we definitely are noticing. And he lifts up the camera and takes another picture, and it's like 3 panels. And
one prominent feature of the man, because he gets close up in the last panels, but we notice that one of his hand, he only has 4 fingers.
His ring finger is missing one on his right hand. Well, he has 4 fingers, but one of them is cut off at the knuckle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's burnt, looks like. Yep. And you know, we see he's taking a picture of her running, you know, 𝗥𝗏. You see he's taking a picture. And that's how it ends. So we don't know at this point who this mystery man is and why he's taking pictures of Lauren. And lots of people speculated that he was Dylan. Lots.
Well, we don't know yet. I'm just saying.
It could still be Dylan.
He looks pretty young.
Yeah, he looks pretty suspicious.
Yeah, you know, one of the things about doing earlier episodes is you can't theorize anymore, because we like, for some things, well, some things we could theorize on, but like for something like this, like we already know who it is. So like we can't spend 20 minutes theorizing because we know.
Mm-hmm. Lauren's, oh my God, Lauren's line about where were you hiding in that dream sequence? I'm like, oh, is that foreshadowing? Like, is this kid alive? Are they in hiding?
I was wondering also if like, if Sophie and F kind of put in like a real thing in there, you know, for like, where is it? And I have it on me. Maybe like Dylan has something that's actually, or was when he was a kid. I don't know if he's around anymore or not, but like maybe he had something that he was hiding from people, right? And that that's maybe the reason he was apprehended, the reason he went missing. And so maybe it actually meant something, or maybe it's just like the happiness, like you said.
I have several theories on what Dylan actually meant by saying, I don't have it on me. But if I say it, I would have to mention episode 49, which is like 20 episodes ahead. So I'm gonna shut my mouth for now, but I have several theories.
Now I want to hear it. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll end the recording here and we'll do that as a bonus. Like a separate episode. So like, if you haven't caught up, don't watch this yet. Can we do that?
Sure, that's fine with me.
Or you know what? Let's just keep it and to be like, okay, people, if you haven't read it yet, don't listen further. If you have, listen further.
Stop the audio here. So I was personally thinking that what Dylan was saying referred to the flower crown in episode 49. At some point in the story, he creates, I think, a daisy crown.
Yeah, he creates a crown in episode 49, like you said.
Yeah, and he puts it on Lauren's head. And I don't know if they're even related at all, but her saying, where is it? I was thinking, in a sense, can be referred to the flower crown, because her, I think they made multiple flower crowns. Like Dylan was teaching Lauren how to create those flower crowns, and she loses the flower crown when she's running to find Dylan in the explosion. So I thought it could refer to that. But maybe like Fwoot also said the hiding part. Since all we know, Dylan is only missing because the only thing he really left was the hat on the ground. So what Lauren could mean by saying, "Where were you hiding?" can mean either one, like a childhood game, or where were you all these years-ish question. But since she's kind of reverted into a child, she says, "Where were you hiding?"
Yeah, makes sense. Do we have anything else to say about the episode before we close it out? I think it's extremely poignant. Sorry, what were you saying?
Not that I can think of.
I think I don't have anything else to say as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely poignant, and it's a beautiful chapter. It's very sad. So, yeah. I mean, she has a big, she carries around a lot of sadness that she doesn't really process. Yeah, and it comes out here. Well, on that somber note, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, yep. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we'll see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.